Welcome everybody, my name is Jared Berglund. I'm the owner of Pure Vision Entertainment. Today I'm sitting down with my man and one of my great now friends, assistants, DJs, Isaiah Clayson. Isaiah, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on, Jared.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, my friend. So I want to give the listener a little bit more insight into who Isaiah is. Isaiah actually just finished up his 5th year with Pure Vision Entertainment, going on his 6th year. He has a very interesting story on how he actually came to myself and our company. His father, Ernie Clayson, who is a very long time and very well-known officiant in the area, in the Portland metro area. I've gotten to know him probably over the last 10 to 15 years or so. Back in COVID, funny story about it, I had actually had a wedding that was planned and my assistant for the day had actually called out the morning of. I put a post out on Facebook that morning just asking if anybody was available last minute and would love to be able to help me out. And I remember your dad sending me a message and saying, my son needs to actually start working. I'm gonna go wake him up right now. He gives me a call a couple minutes later. My son's name is Isaiah. I'd love to have him start working and doing some events and things like that. He needs to start working. And at the time you were 15 years old. You're now 20 and just turned 20. And so he has actually been with me for 5 years now, which has been amazing. During that time, he has been my personal assistant on probably well over 350 weddings, countless corporate events, private events during that time, and many other different things like that. Since then, you've become our photo booth manager, so you manage that, and you've actually, over the past 2 years, been DJing and actually putting on some events yourself. So with all that being said, tell everybody a little bit about yourself outside of just that.
Yeah, so my name's Isaiah once again. I go by DJ Aries also. I've been into music since as long as I could remember. I didn't really get into DJing until about the same time I started working for you. It worked out perfectly because a lot of my friends have always been into music just like me. I've never been one to really be into the rap scene and, you know, making rap music. And I've always just loved music. So it's kind of been nice to just flow into that DJ stuff. I've started throwing events with my friends since we were 14. We started throwing shows, some local artists. Ever since then, it's just been kind of taken off from there. Working with Jared, doing weddings, been doing the concerts, opened up for Xavier Wolf recently, some stuff like that.
Yeah, very cool. I've actually been really impressed on some of the events that you've been put on. One of them most recently in 2025 was a big Halloween show that you promoted, planned, put sound together, put the artist schedule together. I remember you were very excited for that one. Tell me a little bit more about everything that you did for that one.
It's pretty much the same process as all the other ones that we've thrown together. We pretty much just look for venues that have at bare minimum like 200 capacity person. We try to sell tickets for as cheap as we can because we just enjoy throwing these events and allowing people to get more into the music scene and just get our names out there a bit more. It's definitely a process throwing shows because you have to be able to talk to artists, you have to know people, you have to be able to communicate with venues, have money to put into the venue. Sometimes you'll get lucky, get some sponsorships, but you gotta be ready to pay out your pocket. And sometimes you barely break even. This last show, I broke just even and that was it. And that's honestly fine by me if that's what it goes like. You know, you just gotta take the risk sometimes.
Absolutely. You know, it's a big learning curve, and you know, just to be able to get, you know, some of those events underneath your belt will help long term a lot, because a lot of what you're dealing with there with those events you can apply into the wedding scene or the private event space. Now that you've been with me long enough, what have you just enjoyed over that time being able to, obviously mostly we've done a lot of weddings together. What have been some of the things that you've enjoyed the most?
Probably some of the things that I've enjoyed the most is definitely partying time for the events. That's like the time that everything, just all the moving parts of the day are done. Like both of us tend to be in a pretty good mood at that point because even if the entire day was not the best and things were just not going our way, we pushed through it, got everything done, and now it's just partying time. Everyone's having a good time. We're getting people on the floor, getting to kind of see your styles, and maybe if I'm assisting other DJs, how they're choosing and mixing their music. And I think that's probably my favorite part.
You bring up a really good point there at the very end. Is one thing that I've tried to encourage you to do, and you've been very open to it over the last couple of years, is having multiple DJs a part of our team. Each one of our DJs has a little bit different style. They have a little bit different hosting approach and being an MC. What have you been able to take from each one of them? Obviously, you've got Manny, you've got Kyle, Ryan, each one of them. What have you been able to take from them, and how have you put that all together and expanded your approach and your style to DJing as that's grown over the last couple of years?
Pretty much for me, it's just been kind of like learning. I like to see and understand how they're doing it. That way it gives me ideas for when I'm doing it myself. Like with Manny's style, he's more club, fast-paced, quick mixing. I would say from what I've learned from him was more like you just gotta be on your feet and ready for it to go. Like if you're having a party crowd, they're probably not gonna be engaged with the song for a minute, 30 seconds, 2-3 minutes. That's really pushing it in those kind of scenes. And that's kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, that's a more club scene idea of how to look at it. And then like with you, it's like you've kind of got a jack of all trades mix style. Like you're able to quick mix and just like also kind of go into that slower style. And it's like I like taking that from you, where it's like you kind of start out kind of strong and get the crowd going. You might slow down a little to give people some time to regain some energy, slow dance, whatnot, and then just ramping it back up and then ending off on good notes.
Absolutely. Taking all of that, this is kind of a misconception I feel like with your generation now. Is there is more music than ever in the entire world, in the scene. You go onto Spotify and there's almost 500,000 songs a day uploaded there. With you being only 20 years old, yet how deep is your music knowledge? Now, I personally know that, but they do not, because obviously you've only been exposed in a sense with 20 years, of life, been exposed only so much. But I think TikTok has helped a ton. Having events in the weddings and the private events that you've done, what has been your range of music that you've been able to play, or how much do you know now?
I would say, on my own personal account of just like listening to music, I have over 5,000 songs that I'm like averaging listening to. Just to give an idea to the audience of how much music I'm really listening to, 2025 year, at the end of the year, you know how Spotify does their Wrapped and SoundCloud does their, I had like 17,000 something streams of different songs. So it's like pretty deep. And I would say it could be anywhere from like, I think the lowest age of music I went was like in the 50s, like 1950s music, all the way to like brand new drops pretty much from like the scene.
I definitely can vouch for that one, because there's been times where I've played some Dean Martin or Frank Sinatra during dinner time, and you'll be in the back, right before you start releasing tables for dinner or something like that, you'll be singing along to some Rat Pack and some things like that. Yeah. So I can definitely vouch that your music knowledge has grown a lot. So that's something I've been pretty impressed with. What makes the weddings different and unique compared to some of the other events that you've been able to do, and private events and the concerts and things like that?
I would say it definitely comes a lot into the planning, and it also has a lot to do with what that day really is. I think a wedding day is the most important day of a lot of people's lives, and it's like the biggest day. That's unique in its own sense, because a lot of events, whether it's school dances or concerts, those are just kind of events, it's memories nonetheless, but it's different in the fact that there's two specific people that it's the biggest day of their life. You want to make sure that their vision works out perfectly, and there's just a lot of moving parts compared to others like concerts and stuff. The only real moving parts in that is opening set, artists, different artists doing their set, and then that's like about it. Maybe closing set. And with a wedding day, you have to plan out for weeks pretty much. You're understanding this couple, getting to know them, trying to see what their vision is, what their idea for the best day wedding would be for them, and then trying to plan your way around doing that. With concerts, it's more on the fly, I'd say. You could just read out the crowd in the moment. If they don't like the music you had kind of pre-planned, it's pretty easy to just go off from there. But with weddings, it's like every crowd's different, every couple is different, every person's unique. So you have to really understand and like get to know those people.
I think one big thing with the folks that are getting married nowadays that are still millennials or your generation with the Gen Zs, their approach and their view of a wedding is different. They want it to be unique. They want it to be theirs and not wedding or the 5 weddings that they went to for their friends and it just seemed like the average wedding. Yeah. How do you prepare for a couple and like what does your process look like to make their wedding day unique?
I would say it comes a lot to understanding the venue and also understanding what the couple has in mind. If the couple is saying that they want it as a more relaxed wedding, kind of leisure, laid back, everyone wants their own unique wedding day. But I think people need to realize every wedding's still going to be unique. Even if you're taking a lot of parts from other weddings, it's still your day and it's still going to be unique, whether you feel like you have to do everything DIY or you're just doing a traditional same wedding that we've done for the past thousands of years as humans.
There's probably some weddings that we haven't done together that are just very unique, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can think of, we've done countless DIY weddings together where, they have, kind of gone a little bit more into the entertainment and done a lot of things themselves. We've had some where the couple has been 6 figures into their overall wedding budget, and it's an just immaculate chateau of a venue that they've chosen. We've done some where it's, a holiday theme such as Halloween, and it's emo and alternative rock and dark and black and red themed and, everything in between. Disney, I can remember some of those. And
some Star
Wars, Indian American by Bollywood. Yeah. You've got the English Latin wedding. We've done countless weddings of those. And so I definitely truly do believe that you've seen a lot of, diversity in the weddings and things like that. Now, with all that being said and the diversity and, the different types of events and weddings, how do you take your experience, and how does that apply to the dance floor and even beyond just the dance floor throughout the evening? How do you read a room and how do you adjust in real time depending on what you're seeing?
With reading the room, that one I tend to find to be one of the easier parts for me. Is when I prep for that, with having all this knowledge of doing the Bollywood, Latin, the more nerdy anime type weddings, like from all the different unique, crazy, basic to one-of-a-kind weddings that you'll ever see. I'd say understanding how those previous events have done and understanding what the current couple's idea on their vision for the day of is like. That way you could kind of pull from, okay, well, their vision really aligns with some of these weddings I've done in the past, and they're describing their crowd likes this type of music, and when I did this event I found that this worked really well. And you could kind of take from their song requests, get like a little mini playlist of just what the couple wants for their party, dinner, service, etc. A lot of it for me just comes down to having what I think is going to work best based on what the couple's vision is, on what they've requested.
Now, do you, with everything that you've prepared and going off of what you've talked about in your final meetings and your creative meetings with your couples, do you go more off of the guest's energy and adjust in real time, or do you still try to hone in on what the couple wants, or do you kind of do a blend of both?
I would say it's definitely been a blend of both. I try to please the couple as much as possible, as it's their big day and I want to make sure that it's the most memorable, perfect day that they could have, making sure that the guests are having a great time, making sure people are dancing on the floor.
Now, let me shift gears real quick. You've been able to see weddings and events from a lot of different perspectives. Everything from managing a photo booth and you're dealing with the guests over at the photo booth, but you're able to see and watch the dance floor from a different angle, to seeing it behind the booth from, an assistant angle, but also DJing. What's something couples often don't realize that a DJ does?
There's a lot. I would say for a good DJ, they do a lot behind the scenes that hopefully the couple never finds out about. I think that the day of for weddings, DJs have a whole lot that we're doing behind the scenes, mostly just trying to make it look smooth for the couple.
Ultimately, they bring us on because they trust us. And
Exactly.
there's times where a day goes by very smoothly and everything that we've planned goes, perfectly. And then there's many of the days where we need to make on the fly adjustments. It's working with the event professionals that, the couple has brought on board to be able to make the day as seamless and smooth as possible. So I love that. What's some of the music, songs, artists that you absolutely love?
It's hard to say specific artists just because I do listen to so much music, but I'd probably say genre speaking. Some of my favorite music with mixing and listening to would have to probably be like pop and like EDM. Some hip hop too, of course, more specifically like 2000s to 2010s.
If you're behind the decks, does the same thing apply? Or what do you enjoy mixing the most when you're at an event?
I just enjoy getting the crowd going.
Yeah.
Honestly, if crowd's going and they're feeling whatever I'm playing, that's what I'm playing. I couldn't really care. If I did have a choice, it would probably like EDM or like pop.
Now, is there a time an event within an event or a wedding that you feel the most creative musically?
Probably after the first 30 minutes of dancing. That's probably when I start like really getting into the flow. Like I've got an understanding of how the crowd's feeling. I've already kind of figured out how the crowd's reacted to certain songs, genres, and from there it's just kind of like opened up at that point. Because it kind of feels when you start the floor, you're kind of more restricted to like going to for sure push the crowd out there.
How do you typically approach building a dance floor from start to the first 30 minutes? And how does that apply to a conversation that you have with a couple?
The way I like to start off the floor typically is try and find maybe sometimes if it's a couple's request that I think would work really well, try and find one that's more upbeat, happy, light in a sense, because as you touched, I like that point. Sometimes you do have some toasts or a heavy dinner before, and especially with toasts being right before, sometimes you might have a very emotional toast where half the room is crying and bawling their eyes out.
Pure Vision does for them throughout their planning process. How do you make them feel supported so that way they have the reassurance that they know you're going to give them the best during their private event or their wedding day?
Having them ask any questions if they have any, that's like the biggest thing. If a couple or any clients have any questions, feel free to just shoot them past. It's one of those things where it's your big day and you're paying us to put on that big day for you. And so in order to give you what you really want, my perspective of it is getting to know them, understanding their vision, but also understanding they've got a lot on their shoulders.
Keeping on the topic of couples, has there been anything meaningful that a couple has said to you after their wedding day?
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few things that have been said to me that have stuck with me, but probably the biggest one that was like the most rewarding was hearing them say to me this was their dream wedding day. That like everything was perfect, that I killed it, it was their dream wedding.
Okay, if you could tell any of the future couples that are watching this one thing, or what is the most important thing about researching and finding a DJ, what would that be?
I would say the best thing you could do for yourself for finding a DJ for your wedding is understanding that firstly there's different types of DJs. There's wedding DJs, club DJs, etc. Finding one that what you're wanting that's maybe more specializes in that, or maybe finding one if you're having like a lot of kids and family, a wedding DJ, or maybe even school dance kind of DJ. Those might be a better option for you because they'll play more family friendly stuff like that. And I would say another big piece of advice would just finding a DJ that's going to be able to provide that for you and excel in it is definitely what you're going to want to do. Actually has a portfolio that shows like, hey, I've done this event before. I've done stuff similar to this. Like, oh, you want this kind of vision for your big day? this reminds me of this event I did, and I did this. What do you think about that? And having that understanding that you don't have to settle down with the first DJ you find, that probably will also help you.
With all that said, what can couples, if they're watching this right now and they choose you to be their DJ, what can they expect from you as a final outcome on their big day?
As long as we've discussed it and we've talked about all the moving parts, we've planned everything out for it, your big finalized day is going to be your dream wedding. I think that that's what the biggest goal is for me, is just providing your dream wedding for you.
Why should they hire Isaiah to be their DJ?
Because I'm professional, on time, I'm a hard worker, and I'm going to provide you the best wedding day that you could ever ask for.
Awesome. Good job, dude.